This is a special report from ABC News Digital.
Hello, I'm Ty Hernandez in New York with an ABC News Digital special report. Scandal in New Jersey. Governor Christie, a top 2016 Republican presidential contender, under fire. New emails obtained by ABC News that show that Christie's staff purposely closed lanes on the George Washington Bridge, one of the busiest in the country, back in September as part of a political vendetta. The closures created a massive traffic jam on the first day of school. Fort Lee, a New Jersey city at the foot of the bridge, was hardest hit. Its mayor, a Democrat, did not back Christie's re-election bid. The emails suggest the closures were simple retaliation. This message from the governor's deputy chief of staff to the head of the Port Authority reads, quote, "Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee." We're joined now by ABC Shoshana Walsh at our Washington bureau and Jeff Zelny from Capitol Hill. Shush, let's start with you. Christie's denied that his staff has played any part in those lane closures. But we've got those emails, 23 pages of them surfacing today, and they tell a very different story, don't they?
Exactly. Christie has, as the scandals come out over the last few weeks, he's repeatedly said that none of his staff were involved, none of his aides, except for the two that we know have already resigned. He said that he's spoken directly with them. We now know through these emails that is not true. And as Democrats in the state just put it, it's two things that are going on. He didn't know what was happening in his own office, or there's some lies being told. We don't know yet which of that is true.
Okay, and Jeff, how high up are David Wildenstein at the Port Authority and Christie staffer Bridget Ann Kelly? How close are they to the governor?
Well, Tyler, definitely part of his inner circle. In fact, one is a high school friend, and this deputy chief of staff is a very close advisor to the governor. And really what this gets right to the heart of here is, and the reason this is a story that's resonating a little bit out of New Jersey, outside the state, is it really hits to the heart of who Governor Christie is, his personality. Part of his brashness is part of his brand. He is a truth teller. He says it like it is, but he's also inheriting a reputation as something of a bully. And this goes directly to the heart of that. And it's not just Democrats that are watching this as we're seeing. It's also Republicans who are potentially running against him in 2016 in the primary. They are delighting in seeing Christie struggling a little bit here, and we're not sure how far this situation is going to go. He's not handling it all that smoothly so far. He had an event this morning. He canceled it abruptly. We still haven't heard from him here, so this goes right to the heart of his brand, who he is. Is he a bully or is he a truth teller?
So, Jeff, we're talking about someone who talks about his being able to garner bipartisan support. The accusation here is that those Democrats, or Republicans really, who didn't back him in his re-election bid were personally punished by his staff at the very least. Traffic jams and closing lanes on a very busy bridge is something people can really relate to. How dangerous is this for Christie going forward?
Well, it certainly is easy to make a television commercial out of. That's kind of a judge in politics or a rule in politics. If it's easy enough to explain in a 30-second TV ad, which this certainly is. I mean, there were school buses that were backed up on the freeway, all these traffic jams, and it is definitely easy to explain. It's easy to show that this was really government at its worst here. Now, we don't know if the governor actually knew about this, but people close to him did know about it. So as Shush was saying just a moment ago, we're going to hear more and learn more about this. Exactly what did he know and when did he know it, if you will. But it really speaks more to his brand and exactly what lengths will he go, or the people around him go, to carry out his orders.
Shush, tell us a little bit more about the chaos that ensued in terms of the gridlock, what closing lanes of the George Washington Bridge meant for residents of New York and New Jersey. And also give us some context. These emails and texts were pretty blunt, pretty shocking in the way they laid out simple retaliation.
Absolutely, and really it's shocking that anyone would put this kind of how clear it was in these emails in an email. I mean, maybe people would be having a conversation about it, but this is in black and white for everyone to see. And the email that you showed is one of the most clear ones, where one of his aides said to another, "It's time for some traffic problems in New Jersey," and he said, "Got it." But as for what happened in Fort Lee those days, it was 4 days. It was quite chaotic, as you said, because of the amount of traffic. There were 3 lanes that were closed, and so that left all the traffic to the other lanes. And this was the first week of school. So you have students that were trying to get to school, parents that were trying to get their kids to school buses. And we even spoke to a mother today at one of those schools in New Jersey whose daughter had to go to detention because she was 25 minutes late to school. Now, that isn't that big of a deal compared to, now we also know that there were emergency vehicles that couldn't get there also, and that's really probably one of the most important or fallout out of this, is that how many ambulances couldn't get through other emergency vehicles.
And Trish, what had the governor been saying about the lane closures? What was the official reason?
So the official reason, which one of his aides who has now stepped down said that it was a traffic study. But as reporters and other people in the state capitol continue to dig, there was no traffic study. And that aide that made those comments was not under oath at that point. But there will be hearings where there will be the same aides under oath. It's supposed to start as early as tomorrow, so we might get more information then. But it's clear that we don't know the whole story. We don't know how involved Chris Christie was in this, and that's really the question that we need to find out now and that everyone's waiting for, is how much did he know, when did he know it? And also another question is, a lot of these emails and these text messages, there are people that are redacted, phone numbers that are redacted, and that's a big question too. Who else was involved directly?
Now, Jeff, you talked a little bit or touched a little bit upon the governor's response to what has happened now, particularly the surfacing of these emails today. Let's go back to December, though, when he was beginning to be asked about the bridge closing and his response. Let's listen to that.
Yeah, I worked the cones, actually, Matt. Unbeknownst to everybody, I was actually the guy out there. I was in overalls and a hat, so I wasn't, but I actually was the guy working the cones out there. You really are not serious with that question. What happened? No, I haven't. Listen, just because John Wisniewski is obsessed with this, and Loretta Weinberg, it just shows you they really have nothing to do.
All right, Jeff. So Christie there, using sarcasm and belittling reporters who were asking these questions at the time. Could those responses come back to hurt him?
Sure. And there are so many responses like this from Governor Christie on a variety of topics. That is his MO on everything. He tries to belittle reporters, make fun of the situation, make light of it, and move on. But the reality here is, no one is sympathetic to a reporter, so that's fine. But there are other sympathetic victims here. And as Shush was just saying, there are parents of children who were on those school buses, people who were trapped in all these traffic jams. He's lucky he's not running for a re-election again, or this didn't surface before the re-election, because it would have been a big scandal. But it really gets to the heart of how he is able to control himself or conduct himself, and if this sort of brash brand of politics is going to play in other parts of the country. If he is going to succeed politically, if he decides to run for president, which we all think he will, he is going to have to introduce himself and appeal to voters in other parts of the country where that type of attitude that we just saw probably won't sell. I cannot picture him trying to have that tone with a Republican activist or voter in Council Bluffs, Iowa, or in Nashua, New Hampshire, or in South Carolina, those 3 early primary states. It just won't sell. So how he conducts himself, how he handles himself is really important here, and this is not a very good indication that he's able to sort of move beyond New Jersey.
Shush, you mentioned that there will be hearings about this, and we already have a flurry of responses. First, from the very angry mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey, who spoke to WABC here in New York. Here is what Mark Sokolich had to say about those closures.
For the people that are involved, I think they need to come up here. I think we need to hear an apology. I think the families that had to wait 3 to 4 times longer in response times from our emergency services because their loved one was experiencing chest pains, or the thousands of families that couldn't get their kids to school on time during that 4-day period, or the tens of thousands of dollars that Fort Lee inevitably incurs when we have to mobilize to deal with this type of a traffic disaster. Now that we know that it's man-made, we need apologies, we need explanations, we need people to be accountable.
And the governor's staff, one of the areas where people are looking for accountability. Here is New Jersey State Assembly's Deputy Speaker responding.
What we've seen today is a sad day for New Jersey. The documents that have been published are both shocking and outrageous. They show government at its worst. Among other things, they call into serious question the honesty of this governor and his staff. As a result of what has been revealed today, this governor has a lot of explaining to do. So many questions remain unanswered. That's why I subpoenaed Mr. Wildstein to testify, and that's why I hope he will come and testify tomorrow at noon in this building. So far, what we know is that Mr. Wildstein has been pointed to by everybody, the governor, the executive director, as the fall guy. But when we look at the documents we've seen today, it is clear that that's not the entire story. Mr. Wildstein's testimony can help fill in the blanks and answer a lot of questions.
Okay, Shush, the staff clearly under fire here, but are they going to take the fall alone? Obviously, people are working to connect the governor to all of this, but that's not been done yet, correct?
Right, it has not been done yet. But I think that it's possible that staffers could take the fall. I think it's likely that there are going to be a lot more people that resign or get fired. But I think that the question that everybody's going to be asking on both sides of the aisle in New Jersey and across the country is how much did the governor know and when did he know it? And that is really the question that's going to have to be answered directly from the governor, as this scandal unfolds, or it won't go anywhere.
And Jeff, you had already mentioned Christie canceled a news conference that was pre-planned for today. That never looks good, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it certainly looks like they're trying to plan their strategy rather than making a quick decision and saying heads are going to roll here. So, it's one thing when he's just been reelected by a huge percentage of the vote. He has a big mandate here. And the Christie campaign was looking a little bit beyond this. The governor probably believed what he was saying when he was sort of belittling the reporters. He didn't ever think this was going to become an issue, obviously. He is also the chairman of the Republican Governors Association. So his outlook is on the country now. He's not focusing only on New Jersey. What they know they need to do is regroup and contain this and respond to it. So as with any type of scandal or crisis, the response is very critical. So we'll see in the next, I would say the next 24 hours. He certainly has to decide and say something. They can't keep canceling these events.
All right. Very interesting developing story. ABC Shoshana Walsh in Washington and Jeff Zeleny on Capitol Hill. Thank you both so much for joining us. Scandal. Thank you, guys. Scandal for New Jersey's presidential hopeful governor. All the latest from the politics team right here at abcnews.com. This has been an ABC News Digital Special Report. I'm Ty Hernandez in New York.